just in some aspects, will always rest upon the mass, generational murder of Cambodian men. Molly's cousin Darren, the character closest in terms of surface detail to Anthony himself, is home for the funeral from Stanford, where he's trying to write a graduate thesis that explains the relationship between humor and trauma. Straight Through Campbelltown, originally Anthony's own graduate thesis at Syracuse University, where I was his teacher and advisor, is heartbreakingly smart on that score. That's not to say he couldn't get righteously irritated when the situation called for it. This volume also collects his published essays, some of them sweetly, almost protectively family-focused, and others more critical in nature, on a range of mass cultural topics. From Queer Eye for the Straight Guy as an avatar of what he calls deep reality TV, to the film Crazy Rich Asians, with which he felt himself in a kind of one-sided dialogue. He frequently acted out this sort of friendly, wholly imaginary rivalry with other Asian and Asian American artists, always in a comic, self-needling way. He loved to refer to Viet Thanh Nguyen, for instance, as my nemesis, followed immediately by a burst of laughter, the joke being that Viet Thanh Nguyen would of course not then have had the slightest hint of Anthony's existence. The fact that these brilliantly funny, humbly astute works of criticism were, unlike the novel, finished products in Anthony's lifetime, paradoxically makes them feel more truncated here, in the sense that, after reading them, you will, as does everyone who knew him, find yourself encountering some bizarre new cultural phenomenon and feeling first a curiosity, then a sort of enraged sadness, eager for the sense that Anthony would have made of it. The alternating fiction and nonfiction sections of this book are in constant dialogue. In the meditations on queerness, on comedy, on music, on whiteness, etc. The borderline fades, though, in the difficult final pages, when the subject on both planes turns to grief and to the problem of how to mourn an untimely death. Campbelltown, naturally, finds elements of humor in this process, however embedded in agony, as the extended family tries to figure out how to bear the loss of its eccentric matriarch. And in the essay that closes this volume, Anthony turns, as he always did, to the making of sentences as the only conceivable way of bringing under control the crippling pain he felt in the aftermath of the death of his friend, the poet Will Georges. My friend and I, he remembers, saw each other as hopeless writers, misunderstood prophets, critics of our cultural moment who rejected obvious and reductive politics. We never indulged the ordinary pursuits because we yearned to write masterpieces, timeless works, infused with nihilistic joy and dissenting imaginations. His confused fury in the wake of Will's death spares no one, least of all himself. It is hard to read, because of course, it begins to converge with our own sense of grief and loss and anger as the pages of this book, Anthony's last, run out. Sometimes it just hits you, the way it hits Molly, knocks her to the ground, in fact, when a random association makes her realize all over again that her beloved Mingpo is truly gone. But the day comes for all writers when the only aspect of us that retains the power of speech is our work. If that day came for Anthony much sooner than expected, it is still a mistake to dwell on what's not here, what he didn't do. As time passes, the fact that he left us with two completely unprecedented book-length works of genius, two books that plant Cambo culture forever on the literary map of America, will move closer to the fore of our thoughts about him. And we need every word of this book. He wasn't just another promising young writer. Let's face it, promising young writers are never in short supply. Anthony was filling a hole. So let the focus rest on his work, where it now belongs. It's the only place left to put the love I have for him, and it more than returns that love. Jonathan D. We are all the same here, us Cambos. Fiction from Straight Through Campbelltown.